The Queen of Granada, by M. Riff. Chapter 146, The Minions. Rita became aware of their pursuit, hurried into a side street, and blended into the bustling bazaar crowd. The men were seething with anger at the taxi driver who had foiled their chance. One of them pounded the car's hood in frustration, while the other kicked the bumper. Rita removed her cap to avoid standing out, fearing the two men might approach from behind. But there was no sign of them. She regretted sharing her address with the antique dealer. Now, the men knew her route home. They would likely choose a strategic spot along her path to ambush her and steal the book. She glanced ahead and spotted them in the bustling bazaar exit. They noticed her too and started closing in. Just as she was about to turn around, she noticed an olive shop that also had another door that opened onto a side street behind the bazaar. She entered and inquired of the man at the counter, "Do you know where I can find yarn nearby?" If she managed to get back home without any trouble, she'd still require some yarn as a lifeline to descend into the catacombs. The shopkeeper gave her an odd look, as if she'd walked into the wrong store, and said with a sardonic grin, "We've never sold anything like that here." With some hesitation, he added, "There's a new second-hand shop just across the street. They have a bit of everything. You might find it there." Rita swiftly exited the store through the other door, dashed across the street, and entered the second-hand store. Since the men could not spot her in the crowd, they figured that she must have used one of the shops to escape into the parallel street behind the bazaar. Passing by a hair salon, they hastily entered and, under the surprised looks of the ladies, hurried out again to the other side. They combed the street up and down but couldn't spot Rita. Meanwhile, she stood concealed behind racks of clothing in the second-hand shop, keeping a close eye on them. Just as the bus began to pull away from a nearby stop, they assumed Rita had boarded it. They ran after the bus and managed to catch up with it and jump on board. Due to the ongoing oil crisis, numerous second-hand shops had sprung up throughout the city. They offered a more diverse selection than the supermarkets. Rita grabbed a cart and navigated her way to the clothing section, searching for knit sweaters. Eventually, she spotted them hanging on a long rack. Despite her hurry, she carefully examined the options and selected one of the largest ones, hoping to be able to unravel its yarn and roll it up into a ball. On her way to the checkout, she noticed an oversized hoodie and added it to her cart, hurrying to join the stagnant line in front of the counter. Each customer at the counter seemed to be haggling over the price of every item, often successfully lowering it. Suddenly, a car drove through the street as loudly as if it were trying to break the sound barrier. One of the two young men in front of Rita commented to the other, "Not him again." The other replied, "I'd do the same if my father owned half the city and golfed with the police chief. He doesn't worry about high gas prices or speeding tickets." The first guy asked, "Isn't he driving a Ford GT?" The other guy replied, "Yeah, a Ford Mustang GT 390. Just like the one Steve McQueen drives in the movie Bullitt."